morning, boys and girls. You have your writing assignment today of writing your rough draft. So, I showed you yesterday how I brainstorm my ideas, and I wanted to show you today how I would write the rough draft of my writing. So, I'm going to take what I brainstormed and just make sure that I include all of that in my story today, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So, I'm going to start with my hook, and I already wrote my hook. So I'm just going to go over here and copy the hook that I already have written to my rough draft. That's how I'm starting my story. So, I have to make a text box here. Okay. So that is how I am going to start my story. Swish. I heard the wind in my ear as I flew through the air and landed on the ground. You know what? I think I want to put an even stronger word here instead of flew. How about soared? As I soared through the air and landed on the hard ground. Just going to add a little bit to it. And that's what you do as you're writing your draft. You do add details as you're writing. Okay, so I have my hook. Now I need to, write my story. So I need to think about what's happening in the beginning of my story. I'm starting when I was on a swing and I wanted to see how high I could go. So I started to go faster and higher. That's the beginning part of my story that I'm going to write. And I just want to make sure that I have all this included in my story. So let me go back over here and I'm going to start writing. And I actually think I might need more space than this. So I'm going to just make a new slide of this. Just so that if I do need to keep writing, I can continue on the new slide. So let me go here and I am going to start my writing. So I'm starting the beginning of my story and I want to use a transition word for the beginning of my story. So let's see. One time in the beginning, it all started when first ones to begin one morning, one day. I like it all started when. That's what I think I'm going to start my story with. It all started when we were celebrating my younger sister's birthday in the backyard. Already I have where it happened and when it happened, right? Or you know what? I'll put when I was 10 years old. Now I've included where it happens, right? In the backyard, my sister's birthday, when it happened. My whole family was at my house, including my parents, brother, sister, aunts, uncles, and cousins. We were outside running and playing. I'm going to put running, playing, and celebrating. I wanted to I was swinging. I was on the swings with my sister Amanda. Now I'm going to the beginning here, right? I was on the swing. Okay, yeah, I want to see how high I could go. That's right. That's what happened. Okay. I said to her, "Look how high I can go," and started kicking my feet faster and faster. I went higher and higher, and the next thing I knew, I was flying through the air. I remember landing on the ground with a loud thud and feeling excruciating pain. That means like really bad. Oh, let me fix my spelling there. Let me just make sure that I'm having everything in my story here. Yes, I did. I mentioned my family's there in my backyard, that I fell off the swing. Okay, so I landed on the ground. My parents took me inside to look at my wrist, and we had to go to the emergency room. So that's what I should be saying here. My parents came running outside and found me crying on the ground. They took me inside to look at my wrist and decided we needed to go to the emergency room. I was so upset. I was shaking. Or you know what? I'm going to say instead of saying I was so upset, I'm going to show that to the reader. My hands shook and my heart raced quickly on the way there. Right? So instead of saying I was scared, you can kind of make that inference based on the way, okay, my hands shook, my heart was racing, right? When we got there, I had to get an x-ray, and the doctor told me my wrist was broken. He put a pink cast on my wrist and sent me home. Okay, so let me just say, beginning of my story, yeah, took me to the emergency room. Okay, now I'm starting to get kind of towards the end. My wrist was broken. I had to get a cast. Now I'm going to talk about how I was actually a little nervous having the cast, and I didn't know how to feel, how I felt about it, but everybody started to sign it, and it actually ended up being pretty cool. So at first, I did not like my cast, but then all my friends and family started to sign it, so I didn't mind it as much. It actually wasn't too bad. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let me make sure I have some transition words there. Maybe I want to put like an hour later, or after that suddenly when I'm talking about having to go to the emergency room. Let's see. And about an hour later, I'm going to put it over there just because I do want some transition words there. Decided we needed to go to the emergency room. Perfect. Okay. Last in the end, finally. Let me do that. I'm going to put it here. In the end, I decided it wasn't actually so bad. And let me get my ending here. That was one of the worst days ever. Wrapped up my story. It was one of the worst days ever. I will never forget it. Okay. So I actually didn't need my slide because I typed a little bit smaller. I hope you can see it here. Let me see if I can make it just a little bit bigger for you. So this is my example here. I'm going to take that slide out. And if you need any help, guys, I have videos here on writing a draft. I have a video here for writing an ending. So maybe you want to review these videos just as reminders, but make sure to use these transition words as you're writing. And here's my rough draft, right? And I can go back in and make any changes and corrections when I'm editing and revising. But I just wanted to make sure that I got my story out today. I'm talking about what happened and I'm saying how, let's see, do I have a beginning, middle, and end? Yeah, I started with in the beginning what happened, then towards the middle, and then I ended it up. I can describe people, places, and things. Okay, well, I described where I was, right, and what was happening. I described how I felt. I did use a little bit of dialogue actually when I was talking to my sister, but maybe when I'm editing and revising, maybe I want to add a little bit more. Maybe that's something I'll have to look at tomorrow. But for right now, I just wanted to get my story out in a rough draft. I can always make changes to it and add more tomorrow when I'm editing and revising. But for right now, I have my story out and all my thoughts are out. So I want you to write your rough draft today based on your brainstorming about a time that you got hurt. Make sure you're telling me the beginning, the middle, and the end of that story. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.